We're celebrating superheroes with our Food Lovers Market Marvel Superhero Mug campaign, but we're also celebrating everyday heroes. It's the busy mom, it's the friend that's always there, the teachers that work so hard through the pandemic, and the nurses and the firefighters who've literally put their lives on the line. When these everyday heroes take a break, what's in their mug? What refuels them and gives them the power? Is it tea or coffee, maybe some hot chocolate? I'm talking to these everyday heroes to find out how they get their power. My name's Kate, I'm from Food Lovers Market. I'm the host of Everyday Heroes, and today we're chatting with Teresa, otherwise known as Tere from the Exceptional Nurse Campaign. Tere, hi, welcome, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. It's really a pleasure to be on your show.
It's entirely our pleasure. And let's kick off by you telling us something about your day. You know, what does a day look like? Tell us about what you do.
Kate, 24/7, I am first of all a wife to an amazing man. I am a mom to 2 grown-up children. I'm a professional nurse that is the director of the Exceptional Nurse Campaign. And my husband and I also pastor quite a large church in the southern suburbs of Cape Town. So my day starts early, 3 times a week with a run, a good 10K run from 10 to 7 in the morning till about 8 o'clock. Then a quick shower, get dressed, and every day is different.
You are definitely a very busy lady. Tell me, what are your strengths?
I'm so incredibly grateful and blessed to have a good, healthy body and a good energy level, a desire to embrace life with all that there is. I just feel like incredibly grateful for health, family. I think a strength is recognizing my weaknesses, to be honest, in that we all have them. And to actually just be able to recognize our weaknesses is actually a strength, and to our strength.
So recognizing your weaknesses, what are your weaknesses?
I would say, Kate, and I can only describe it this way. Often when you are pulled up at a stop street, you can hear a car revving its engine because it's in a hurry to get going. I find that I often have to make sure that I don't over rev my engine in life, because that usually does damage. So a weakness that I have is that I am an enthusiastic, passionate person. I find that my mind is very creative and can often come up with some incredible ideas. Some of them are good ideas, some of them are God ideas, and some of them just get me into trouble. So I would say a weakness is getting too excited about things and becoming sleep deprived as a result sometimes.
Tere, can you tell us what is the best advice you've ever received?
I was giving that some thought, Kate, and I've received so much good advice, but I have a dad. He passed away in 2016, and he lived until he was 90 years old. He was an incredible man that actually encouraged me. I was the 4th child in the family. There, I have 2 older brothers, an older sister, and then I came along. And he really loved God and he loved people. And he instilled that in us as his children as we were growing up. But he could see, I think, a lot of himself in me. And I remember him giving me a bit of very good advice and a book. He gave me a book that was called Great Lives, Great Deeds. And it contained about stories, just 5 pages, summarized stories of people in life that had achieved great things and who had been instrumental in affecting humanity in some way or other. And it was stories about the lives of people like Florence Nightingale, Thomas Edison, Isaac Newton, incredible people. And my dad gave me this book, and I've literally still got it on my shelf. And the great lives and the great deeds, the story of the book displays the fact that so many people who have achieved so much in life, Marie Curie, who invented radium, Louis Pasteur, who invented penicillin. They were husband and wife. They tried so hard and failed so many times before success came. I think Thomas Edison, Alexander Bell was the telephone man. That's right, yes. Thomas Edison with the light bulb, I think he made about 1,000 light bulbs before he was successful. Those are the stories that I love reading. And the bit of advice that my dad would tell me is, when God gives you an idea and you believe it's there to make a difference in other people's lives, never give up. Yes, you will fail. Yes, you will often come across a closed door, and you will sometimes hit your head hard on a brick wall. But if you believe in something for the benefit of humanity, keep going, because after the failure, the success comes. And that's the advice my dad instilled in me.
Sounds like your dad could have been one of our everyday heroes, hey?
My dad was elected as the Citizen of the Year in Nelson Mandela Bay. He was runner-up as the Citizen of the Year, and just for his investment in poverty relief in the township, he did some amazing things, both he and my mom. So I'm very grateful to have incredibly giving, caring parents.
Well, it sounds like you were surrounded by inspirational people, but who is the person that has inspired you the most, and why?
I have to bring my faith in here, and I don't want to apologize, because everybody has a faith in something, whether it's in Mother Nature, or I don't know, but I would really say that my faith is something that inspires me. I do believe in promises in the Bible, the Word of God, and there are so many promises that inspire me when I read the Bible every day. It's just that my faith in God, the fact that He's all-powerful, His power is made strength in my weakness. I just have a heart and hands that I give to Him every day and say, here I am, use me. And that is my inspiration. And watching other people live out their faith in profound ways, that inspires me too.
That's really beautiful. Tell me your challenges, especially, it's been a tough couple of, months, 18 months of busy. But what have been your biggest challenges, and how have you overcome those challenges?
I am a nursing sister by profession. I trained here in Cape Town at the Groote Hospital when I was very young, 17, 18 years old. And I remember working in a medical ward with diabetic patients and thinking how hard it must be to be a diabetic. And I remembered nursing diabetics who'd had amputations, who were on dialysis because of kidney failure and were losing their sight. And I remember thinking, I hope that never happens to me. And so for me, being a nurse and recognizing the value of health and having an incredibly healthy body as well, my daughter became a diabetic at the age of 6, and my son was a severe asthmatic from the age of 3. And so apart from just in health issues, I was very grateful for my nursing training, which helped me look after my 2 children that had chronic illness. They are wonderful and healthy today. And my daughter is 32. She's just had quite a severe challenge these last 6 months with aggressive diabetic retinopathy and the loss of her sight. But I'm so grateful to modern medical science, doctors and surgery and God for pulling her through. And although she has lost partial sight of one eye, they've been able to restore her sight through a series of laser treatments and surgery just in these last 4 or 5 months. She did lose her sight for 7 weeks completely, and that was the challenge for us as a family. So yes, I would say that the health of my children hasn't been easy. That's a personal thing. I've had other huge challenges, but I'm sure time is limited today to discuss that.
I'm very grateful that your children are okay, because it does sound like it's been very challenging. So I'm grateful that they're both well at the moment, but also very that you've had the qualification and the experience to be able to nurse them through that quite literally. So can you, with that in mind, maybe as well, it might not play a part of it, but can you describe for us a defining moment in your life?
in my heart, I've always had a sort of a sense that everybody, should they choose to, can make a difference in their lives, that one life can impact the others around them positively. Right from quite a young age, I had that sense because I watched my dad making a difference in the lives of people. And for me, a defining moment was one day I actually met Mr. Mandela at the airport. We lived in East London, and my husband and I had gone one morning to go and see a couple off. It's a very small little airport. We decided to stay behind for coffee, and the airport had emptied. We probably only had a flight arriving every hour or so. And we saw this white jet arrive, and to our amazement, while we were having coffee, we just saw this entourage walk towards us. And I said to my husband, "That's Mr. Mandela." And I jumped up. I was probably about in my 40s. And he saw the delight on my face, and there was nobody around. And he literally came up to us and I just like stood like a little schoolgirl, and I said, "Good morning, Mr. Mandela." And he was so gracious and so kind. And I said, and he held out his hand to me and to my husband. And he said, I said, "Oh, it's such a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Mandela." And he said, "The pleasure is all mine, my dear." And he took my hand and he shook it, and my husband introduced us both. And he had come to open a new Daimler Chrysler plant in East London that particular day, and he'd flown in and flown out. But in meeting him and just shaking his hand, it consolidated the fact for me that an ordinary life can make a difference in the lives of others if you are other-centered, not self-centered. And I remember thinking, why did I meet this man today? It impacted my life for so long. And I think it was simply that God wanted me to know that he was a human being just like me, but he had a kind heart towards the poor. He felt called to set the nation free from apartheid and other awful evils, but he was willing to sacrifice his life to do that. And I just felt it was a defining moment for me. I even get emotional thinking about it.
That must have been an incredible experience. And when we talk about everyday heroes, there's none greater. So you must have felt really blessed to have been able to meet him and shake his hand. So Tere, can you tell us, what do you consider your greatest accomplishment?
So having met Mr. Mandela and seeing how one man was used to bring about such transformation in the nation, I began to believe that when people have the right heart and are willing to offer themselves to be available, amazing things can happen. And it was not very long after that I wished that I could open some factory. Or poverty in East London and in the Ciskei in those days was quite profound, unemployment. And I wished that I could open some sort of factory or business to simply create employment for people, not to make money for myself, but to simply create employment. And that was in about 2003. I literally registered franchise, a trademark, and started my very first charity shop in East London called Hidden Treasure. I rounded up a few churches in East London to help, and I said, anything you haven't used for the last 2 years, would you be willing to donate that to Hidden Treasure? We will price it, and we'll turn your waste into wealth for just poverty relief in the area of East London, for other churches in the rural areas. A lot of the pastors in those areas literally survive on next to nothing. And so started Hidden Treasure in 2003. Churches helped, communities helped. It was such a roaring success that I've since opened 20 Hidden Treasure shops all over the country. In the last, I'm the founding director of Hidden Treasure, ran that organization for 14 years, stepped down in 2017 to start the Exceptional Nurse campaign. So those shops are now operating in centers all over South Africa. During the COVID crisis, with rentals escalating, we have unfortunately lost some of those charity shops, but still 15 are running very successfully, raising 2.5 million Rand profit every year for missions and ministry projects in South Africa. We have 4 in Cape Town. They're all over South Africa. So I would say, with no business experience, just a heart to help people, a belief that there are so many good people in this world who actually want to support those who are willing to make a difference. Honestly, when you ask me a strength, it's recognizing my weaknesses, because alone I can accomplish nothing. But when you reach out to others and join hands and hearts with others, it's amazing what you can do. They make you look good, but actually on your own, you can do nothing. So I would say Hidden Treasure has been such a refreshing, encouraging blessing, as I've just seen the generosity of communities, churches, people. As I said, 2.5 million rand profit those shops together raise, and all of the profits, we literally pay salaries, we literally pay rent. I've done that as a full-time volunteer for 15 years, and profits go into the lives of people. We registered the Exceptional Nurse Campaign in 2018. I stepped down because I couldn't coordinate Hidden Treasure South Africa and birth a brand new campaign. And the critical shortage of nurses in the nation put such a burden on my heart, something with my own daughter being a diabetic and needing exceptional medical care. We are blessed and privileged because we have medical aid as a family. I cannot imagine what it must be like to arrive with my daughter in a trauma unit or an ER, desperately needing help and having to stand in a queue with 30 people. And I desperately I realized that with the fact that my daughters had access to fantastic medical care, I have wanted that for every child in South Africa. I've wanted mothers to not have to be so desperate for medical help that their children are dying in their arms. And so this prompted my passion to attend to the critical shortage of nurses in the nation, to address the critical shortage of health resources in the nation. That's exactly what we do. Our purpose is to raise awareness for the critical shortage of professional nurses and healthcare resources in South Africa. Not for those on medical aid. Yes, the ones on medical aid, we want them to have excellent healthcare, and they do. But we want that for the other 50 million South Africans as well.
Well, Tere, I certainly feel your passion. You're clearly very passionate about it. Tell me, do you have a mantra, a motto that you live your life by?
I do. And I really want to appreciate food lovers for letting me speak honestly and openly, in that I have to respect everyone in life. And if I had to just be honest, my mantra is love God, love people. That's it.
Who is your favorite Marvel Avenger and why?
So I have to, can I show you my Marvel mug? So I have got a Captain America Marvel mug. And I just want to tell everybody that I have been married for 40 years this year. I know I only look 40, but the truth is that I'm another 24 years older than that. And the reason why I feel so healthy is because my Captain America is my husband. And I have this mug, and I got it from Food Lovers as an incredible gift, which I'm very excited about. And I also got a Food Lovers beautiful biscuit with a Marvel character on it, which I'm even going to share with my husband. So the mug is going to my husband. I might eat the cookie on my own.
So when you do get the opportunity to use the mug, what are you putting in your mug?
I'm firstly a tea girl. To be honest, I do love my Ceylon tea. I was going to say my South African tea. I know that Rooibos is our South African tea, and I only drink Rooibos at night because I need a good night's sleep. But otherwise, it's normally tea and secondly coffee.
Tere, I'd like to say thank you for being such an exceptional everyday hero. You're really and truly inspirational. Thank you for spending some time with us today, and enjoy your mug and enjoy your tea.
And thank you so much for having me on your show. I hope that I was able to cover enough about the Exceptional Nurse Campaign, in that nurses today are our hospital heroes. They are the modern heroes in society today. They've really stood their ground during this COVID pandemic, and we really just want to honor them as the nation's heroes of today.
Well, thank you for
Thank you for
representing the nurses.
Thank you for having me.